months ago, Palm Bay's city manager walked into a budget workshop and said the city needed to cut $15 million. The number was real. The math at the time was not. Revenue projections were still placeholders.
Tuesday night was the moment of truth. Matthew Morton came back with actual property digest data from the Brevard County property appraiser, real numbers, and the question everyone had been holding since May 13th was finally answered.
The $15 million target held.
But here's what made Tuesday different from May. Morton did not just confirm the number, he showed the council everything staff has already done to get there, and it is a longer list than most people realized.
Before Morton ever touched the millage rate debate, he spent considerable time documenting a year's worth of internal cost discipline. The city has frozen 63 positions across all funds, not layoffs, frozen slots that will not be filled. That single action alone projects $6.8 million in salary savings.
He called it the city's own DOGE effort. And then he used an analogy I thought was genuinely useful. He said he had thrown a bucket of water on the coal. The steam train is still moving, but the momentum is borrowed time. He did not know when it would roll to a stop.
Staff also canceled 283 capital projects. The active list went from hundreds of commitments down to 86. That shed more than $60 million in future obligations. Morton said staff could not determine why many of those commitments had been made in the first place.
And for the first time in at least 10 years, departments made zero fund balance requests during the entire fiscal year. Zero. They did not just stop asking for more money. They returned funds at every quarter through what Morton called bar savings. That is a cultural shift, not just a budget move.
All salary reclassifications and increases, which Morton said used to come on a weekly basis, were held and processed through the budget cycle, also the first time in 10 years. The credibility behind the $15 million number is built on all of that.
Which made the millage rate conversation that followed a lot more grounded than the one in May, because now the council was not just looking at a target, they were looking at evidence.
Morton laid out 3 paths. Scenario A, hold the current rate of 6.7 mils, generating roughly $71.5 million in ad valorem revenue, still leaves a $2.6 million gap with zero new equipment. Scenario B, drop to the calculated rollback rate of 6.6015 mils, producing about $70.5 million, roughly $1 million less than the current rate. Scenario C, cut to 5.5 mils, generating approximately $58.7 million, a reduction of nearly $12.8 million from the current rate.
And there is a procedural wrinkle that made the 6.7 option harder than it looks. Under new state restrictions, adopting a rate above rollback now requires 4 out of 5 council votes. Councilman Chandler Langevin was absent Tuesday. With only 4 members present, any single dissent would kill the higher rate at final adoption. The rollback only needs 3 of 5.
Mayor Rob Medina held at 6.7 throughout the discussion. He cited hurricane season uncertainty and the fact that even at the highest rate, the city still faces a gap. His words, "We're still in a gap. We can't get police cars. We can't get anything else."
Councilman Kenny Johnson and Mike Hammer both started at 5.5 mils. Johnson invoked last year's budget standoff, where he and Hammer pushed for a lower rate and were overruled. He framed the rollback as, and I'm quoting here, a standard of good faith to the residents, to those who will be voting in November.
Hammer was candid about the practical tension. If I had my choice today, I would like the 5.5, but I would like to see the 5.5 in like a 3-year period, because that's a big jump. He moved towards 6 mils, working out the math in real time. Subtract the $6.8 million free savings and $2 million from the 18 unfilled positions, and the effective rate is already near 6 without any additional cuts.
Deputy Mayor Mike Jaffe backed the rollback rate. His most distinctive contribution was not his vote. It was a proposal to explore shared health insurance clinics with the Brevard County School Board. Jaffe said school board member Matt Susan is implementing an internal clinic model projected to save the school system over $10 million, and that Susan is willing to present to the council, in his words, not to participate, just to educate.
The final consensus proposed 6.6015 on the July 16th legislative memo, billed the formal proposed budget at 5.5 mils so the council and the public can see exactly what gets cut. If the council sees too many cuts at 5.5, they have room to add items back up to the 6.6 ceiling. They cannot go above it.
Now here's where the $15 million breakdown gets real. Morton did not present this as hypothetical. He walked through specific line items.
The largest single item, closing the municipal pool. The facility costs the city nearly $3 million annually in operations, with an additional $1.5 to $2 million in capital deficit for pumps, lining, and equipment. On a unique user basis, the cost works out to roughly $400 per person per year. Morton said residents wouldn't pay that rate. Staff is exploring alternative operators, including conversations with local schools and Florida Institute of Technology, before recommending closure. Morton's framing: I don't believe in ever just saying, no, we're stopping. What's the alternative?
Other cuts in the package. Returning the Veterans Service Office to Brevard County saves $200,000 annually. Eliminating the Public Works Fleet Management Fund saves $300,000. 18 additional unfilled general fund positions would be eliminated for $2 million in ongoing savings. 5 city-owned properties flagged for liquidation, with 5 more under review. That real estate revenue is one-time and would go toward public safety costs and road maintenance.
Morton was plain-spoken about what all of this actually buys. That $15 million and those roll-ups gets us a year, year and a half. The cuts stop the bleeding. They do not fix the wound.
And the wound has a name. It is the pension.
The fiscal year 2027 total police and fire pension obligation exceeds $15 million. That is a $4.3 million increase from the prior year. For police, the pension cost runs approximately 41% of salary per position. For fire, it is 46%.
The spike traces directly to the 35 positions added in fiscal year 2024. The actuarial cost of those hires is now hitting the budget after the standard lag. You hire someone today, the full pension weight lands a couple of years later.
Morton disclosed that the city just paid off the $38 million pension bond issued in 2008. That is the good news. The bad news came immediately after.
We're probably talking about another pension bond in the next 12 months, 14 months. We're not going to be able to afford it.
Both police and fire union contracts reopen this fiscal year. Fire negotiations begin mid-year, police toward the end. The outcomes of those negotiations will shape fiscal year 2028 and 2029 pension obligations directly. 3-year contracts. Whatever gets agreed to now compounds forward.
And that is the context you need to understand what the referendum's shadow means.
A $250,000 homestead exemption referendum is on the November ballot. Morton showed the council what the general fund looks like if that exemption passes.
By fiscal year 2029, when the full effect takes hold, the city would lose approximately $26.7 million in ad valorem revenue. At that level, the general fund could cover public safety, some parks and facilities, some public works. Everything else, economic development, IT, finance, procurement, the city manager's office, the city attorney's office would be unfunded.
Morton clarified the slide was illustrative. The idea is to show you order of magnitude of reduction. You would still need someone to process payroll. You would still need legal services. But the scale of the loss would strip city operations to a skeleton.
And the charter makes recovery almost impossible. Palm Bay's 3% annual cap on property tax revenue growth means that any rate cut or revenue loss takes 10 to 15 years to recover. Morton said it plainly. With our charter cap revisions the way it is, it would take you 10 to 15 years to get back to that number.
Morton also threatened the city's ability to issue general obligation bonds, GO bonds, backed by ad valorem revenue. Morton told Deputy Mayor Jaffe directly, general obligation bonds might be a thing of the past for the city of Palm Bay.
Revenue bonds backed by enterprise fund ratepayers like utilities would still be viable. GO bonds for general purposes would not. Councilman Johnson asked whether the Citizens Advisory Task Force, the CATF, had reviewed these referendum impact scenarios. Morton said no. The task force has spent its first months receiving a crash course in municipal budgeting. It has not yet moved to the recommendation phase. Johnson pushed to put the referendum impact on the CATF agenda before the next formal vote. It's to advise the citizens. This is a key component.
On the revenue side, Morton made clear that cutting alone will not close the structural gap. A citywide fire assessment is on the table. Stormwater reform is more urgent. The current system reaches only 50 to 60% of properties, and the city lost $1.5 million last year from property transfers that let owners escape stormwater fees. Morton proposed moving stormwater collection back onto the ad valorem tax bill to close that drain.
What is coming next? The legislative memo proposing the 6.6015 rollback rate goes to the full council at the July 16th regular meeting. Staff publishes the proposed budget on July 29th. The next budget workshop is August 4th, where the council will see the formal budget billed at 5.5 mils. Every program, every position, every line with a name next to it. Finance Director Larry Wojciechowski, who Morton noted is retiring in less than 30 days, will be part of that presentation.
Morton closed Tuesday's workshop with 3 structural realities that now frame every decision ahead. The $15 million cut target held, but it buys the city a year, maybe a year and a half. The pension obligation will keep climbing, and another pension bond is 12 to 14 months. And the charter's 3% cap means any rate cut or revenue loss compounds for a decade or more before the city can recover.
The math from May got more pointed in July, exactly as Morton predicted. It will get more pointed still in August when the 5.5 mil budget shows up on paper and every cut has a program name attached to it. Read the full article at thepalmbayer.com.
This is the Palm Bayer.